What's up, guys? And welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Kasey Freeman, and today we're going to be talking about Airbnb. So a couple months ago, I did a video about the truth about Airbnb. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, then you guys know that I have had an Airbnb and I recently shut it down. So I'm here to talk about like getting in and out of the Airbnb business and what's next for my personal like business real estate endeavors, because I do get this question often of, hey, why did you stop Airbnb, or like, would you do it again? And so I'm just going to tell you what I tell everybody else, so that maybe I have like a video ready to go to just send and say, just go watch this video and come back if you have questions, you know? We'll see. So let's just start from the top. So last year, a year ago, I got into Airbnb with my best friend at an apartment complex in Nashville. So the apartment complex allows Airbnb, and they actually get you the permits that you need that go through the city. So the city, if you want to be an Airbnb host, you have to have a short-term rental permit. And the apartment complex that we were at did that process for you for the fee of the permit. So you wouldn't have to worry about like getting approved or not, because they did it, you know. So from there, this apartment complex ranges in cost, and it also has like between studios and I think 3 bedrooms. And then that cost ranges from like $2,500 to like maybe $6,000 per month for rent. And the reason why I decided to rent over purchase was because, one, the permitting process takes a long time. 2, the home buying process also takes a long time. And the most important was I wasn't sure if I was gonna like Airbnb or like doing that business. And so I really wanted something that was temporary, where I could get a feel for what Airbnb was, how it was managed, and then go from there, because I didn't want to just go all in the Airbnb business, especially since I didn't start during in 2020, when like the real estate market was what it was, and Airbnb was like super high and was super a thing. And so since I didn't start during that time, I felt like, let's just see what the market is. Let's just experiment with this business and see where it leads us. So that's really the main reason why we decided to do an apartment over like a house, because we didn't want to go all in and then not like it, not know what we're doing, not make money. And yeah, and then we're stuck with this property. Or not stuck with this property, but we have this property together, and we were not prepared for that. So that's the reason why I ended up doing an apartment. So from there, I actually had lots of furniture from lots of different things. I have plenty of furniture like in storage, and honestly, I should just get into staging with the amount of stuff I have in storage, but nevertheless, so I used a lot of furniture that I already had to furnish this Airbnb, and everything else we either got on Amazon, at Target, or at TJ Maxx. So from there, that took about like maybe a month to get up and going, like enough to like start having like guests. But that was like during the month of like December anyway, so it wasn't really a lot of stuff going on, and we did have the booking open, we just didn't have any guests during that month. So we took the month, furnished it, got artwork, did all that stuff. And looking back on like the design, I wish we would have thought more about like design aesthetic earlier, even before like the paperwork was signed. I wish that we had like a design concept in mind that would have photographed better. But yeah, because people go to Airbnbs to take pictures, do videos, And yeah, and one of the downsides about like that apartment complex was that they only allowed you to list on Airbnb. So you couldn't list on Verbo. You couldn't like just like lease out your space for like if someone wanted to shoot content in there or anything like that. You couldn't do that. So, and they took a percentage of your bookings. So yeah. Okay, so I wish we would have had a better design aesthetic up front than like doing the paperwork on the back end. And then, yeah, so we got everything going. And one thing I don't like about like the review aspect of Airbnb is because I would have some nasty guests and I would want to leave them a bad review. But I felt like if I left them a bad review, they would then leave me a bad review. Because you only get the review if you like fill out, both people have to fill out the review in order to get it. And once you have it, then you have it. So we only like reviewed people who we really liked, who really did well and were very communicative so that we could keep our 5-star rating. Anywho. So all of that, and then, was it worth it? I would say yes. I definitely think that the learning experience was more than like, if I definitely know I want to do Airbnb again. And so like this learning experience has been valuable, and doing that. So fast forward, we decided to shut down the Airbnb because we knew actually our rent, a lot of people say it's because rent like went up, but no, like our rent did not go up at the Burnham. I mean, I'm gonna take that part out. Our rent did not go up. We actually were probably gonna save a couple $100 if we renewed our lease. But we decided not to renew the lease. Yeah, I still have like mixed reviews about it just because of the circumstance. Like I think that, and yeah, I would rather have had 2 years of that income so that we could provide that for buying a property, but that's fine, you know. That would have been better because, you know, if you're doing a mortgage, then you have, and you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, then you have to have at least 2 years of tax returns. So all we will have is 1. And yeah, that doesn't like really help. But it does show like profit loss, you know, we will have that. And we will be going into like a similar business. I mean, the same type of business, it's just we're getting a property. But anyway, so I would suggest try to stay for 2 years if you are going to lease from an apartment complex. I do think that leasing from an apartment complex is worth it in the beginning until you get your footing. And then after that, I would definitely branch off into owning your own real estate if you can. Now, going to the permitting process. The permitting process is what you make it. So whenever you are talking to your realtor, you definitely need to let your realtor know what you're planning on using this property for so that they can look and make sure, like ultimately it'll still be your responsibility to make sure that you can get all the permitting, but your realtor should be able to help guide you during that process and just say, hey, like anything with HOAs, like we would want to stay away from. Maybe if we go a little bit further out, it'll just be a little bit easier because you do, I believe in the permit, you have to have permission from your neighbors to do Airbnb, or like they have to sign off that they know that this is going to be an Airbnb property, I believe. And so you'll definitely want to do that process. Now, if you do have a property that you like and it gets permitted, then I think that that's like phenomenal. And just do Airbnb. Keep it as an Airbnb until you're ready to like lease it out long term. And I also think that I've been watching some interviews with the CEO of Airbnb and just talking about like, I don't want to say crack down, but lots of large metro areas are cracking down on Airbnbs, and the CEO also wants like hosts to charge less for their rooms, essentially, because it's supposed to be competitive with hotels and be cheaper than a hotel. But also, when you're getting like in Nashville, I know if you want a short-term rental process, a short-term rental property that they know will get permitted, then that can cost you like more than $500,000, probably around $1 million, honestly. And so then it's like you're trying to recoup that. So it's like hosts and property owners definitely have to charge this fee because they're relying on the guests to pay the mortgage. So I think it's just a very interesting time to see what's going to happen with Airbnb in general. So I think for one, we got out in time before like the holiday season because it's dead. And we also got out in time to see what's going to happen with the Airbnb market as a whole. And I definitely plan on doing Airbnb again. I don't see why you wouldn't, but that's just my personal opinion. It does take a lot, and you will either need to be on call to clean the unit or hire professionals to clean the unit. So that's the only hire that I really think you need to make is a cleaner. Unless you want to clean it yourself. I cleaned myself until I moved to New York. And then I wish I would have just hired someone, but we didn't. Because cleanliness will hurt your rating. So yeah. Okay, hopefully that answers some of the questions that I get in my DMs about Airbnb, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.